Going on YouTube? Talk to me out there, man. How y'all doing today? How y'all doing out there, man? My name is Aaron. I go by the name of Aaron Real Talk. I appreciate y'all rocking with your boy today, man. How's everybody doing? It's Tuesday. We made another week, y'all. It's a blessing, man. It's a blessing, man. Hopefully everybody's had a great beginning of the week. Let me move this microphone on. So, man, what's going on with y'all, man? How y'all doing today, man? Tuesday, another week to be great, man. Another week to be great, man. So, like I said, hopefully everybody's had a great start to their week, man. Like I said, my name is Aaron. I go by the name of Aaron Real Talk. I appreciate y'all rocking with your boy, man. Thank you guys so much, man. Hey, today I want to talk to y'all about a few things, man. Turn on the music. I want to talk to y'all about a few things, man, and get you guys this, what do you think about some of this stuff, man? Because when I look at, I talk to tons of parents on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of times I question and I ask myself, because I've noticed this, a lot of seems to me a lot of good parents, their children decide to go no contact. And I always wondered why that is. For me, I see kids who parents are addicts, have, some type of abuse, some type of situation going on in their life. And it's like they have a great relationship, or they want to have a great relationship with their parents. It just made me come up with an idea and question that. Like, I wonder why that is. You know what I'm saying? I wonder why children who have such a hard upbringing, seems like they have a different respect for their parents. I don't know why. I don't know. So I'm trying to figure that part out. Like, why do children who have such a hard upbringing go through life is tough? Parents really weren't there for them, struggled a whole lot, had a whole lot going on. And man, they adore their parents. It's a lot of love they have for the parents. And I question and I wonder that. And what I've seen from my previous experiences, I remember growing up, man, I'm gonna turn this down. I remember growing up, my family member, they were in a drug rehab, and I used to go to the AA and the drug rehab with them sometimes, and I never forget, man. I see, kids up there with their parents up there, and these children, man, had mad love for their parents, and trying to understand that, I'm like, man, your mom, your dad is an addict, they weren't there for you. You talking about some children who, parents damn near sold them off or whatever the hell it may be. And they had a lot of love for their parents. And then I would look down and I would see, a 19, 20-year-old, 21-year-old young man whose family was very, very wealthy. And he be in there talking shit about his parents. They got him in rehab. They done paid all his damn bills. They done this, they done that. And he in there talking shit about him. So it made me question. That's why I did that post, man. And I was like, man, I always wondered that. Have you guys seen that, through your life that, it seems to me that, whenever you find out, you see children who had horrible parents for some odd reason, they have a lot of love for them. I don't know if it's on one of the lives, somebody said it might have been like a trauma bond, something of that nature, could have been one of those situations, but I just wondered that. I'm like, I wonder why that is. You know what I'm saying? I really wonder why that is. I always wondered that, like, because to me, you would think it would be the teetotal opposite. You would think the child who grew up great, had loving family, loving parents, would be like, hell to the no, I ain't going no contact with my parents, but it's the opposite. I've seen it, y'all. I've witnessed it over and over again. You know what I mean? So to me, it's just crazy. It's crazy witnessing and seeing the opposite. You see somebody who parents were trash, didn't have a great relationship with their parents. Growing up, parents were addicts. Parents were this and that, and shit, they love the shit out of them parents. And then I seen children who parents seemed like they spoiled the dog shit out of them. Gave them every damn thing that they wanted, anything that they wanted and need. And man, they be the first to go no contact. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I always wondered, like, I wonder why that's the reason. Why does that happen? Why do you see parents who bend over backwards, who've done the things that they thought that they need to do? A lot of them too, if I notice, what I'm noticing is they spoil the shit out of their damn children, right? They spoil the shit out of their children And I think their children take that shit for granted, and they think everybody grew up that way. I think a lot of that, the entitlement, things of that nature. And whenever you look at a child who parents, were drug addicts or alcoholics or something of that nature, man, they had no choice. They had to get it. They had to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? They had to figure it out. So, but I was wondering, like, why don't they go no contact with their parents? Why do they not abandon their parents? Y'all know what I mean? I'm like, why do they not abandon their parents? Do they not feel the same? Do they not feel the same about their parents as these children who had every damn thing, been entitled, been spoiled? Do they not feel the same thing, or do they feel sorry for their parents? I wonder that though. You know what I'm saying? And I wonder that, man. And I sit back because I see it a lot. Seems like the children who parents were not there for them, dealt with some type of addiction. They love the shit out their parents. They want to have a relationship with their parents. Maybe it's how sometimes you don't know what you don't know because you never experienced it. And maybe they in one of those situations. Y'all know what I mean? Like maybe they in one of those situations. Like I wonder what it would feel like, or what it would be like to have parents who cared for me. So maybe they're in this fantasy world thinking like, man, this is the version of a parent I thought I would have, but I didn't get that version. I've just wondered that, man. You know what I'm saying? So I wonder why it seems like children who had horrible parents, for some odd reason, seems as they become full-fledged adults, they want to have a relationship with their parents. And the children who had good to decent parents don't want shit to do with their parents. Y'all let me know in the comments, man, if y'all got it. Y'all know about that, because I'm lost on that one, y'all. I can't figure that shit out. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure that one out. I'm like, man, this right here is mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me, and I see it all the time. Like I say, whenever you go into a place, like when you go to rehab, you go to things of that nature, and you start seeing these children up in there, and their parents are addicts, and they're trying to figure out, like, I just want my mom to get better. I want my dad to get better. I love them. I'm always gonna be there for them. And then, like I say, you see the little rich kid down there sitting down, and he over there talking about shit, man. Look here. I wish they just leave me the fuck alone. Let me go on about my business. I don't even want to be part of their life anymore. And I wondered that, like, is that just a spoiled and entitled thing, or is it, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is that? Why is that? Because I wonder that a lot of times whenever I look into these scenarios and these situations, why do bad parents seem to have a great relationship with their children? And look, on the post, I've noticed a lot of people was talking about, like whenever they got divorces. So the parent that wasn't around, that wasn't there, and they got divorced, they said for some odd reason, that parent, as the child became an adult, they have a great relationship with the child. They said was never there. Never in their life. And one lady said her ex-husband was a drunk, he was a drug addict. Never in their son's life. All of a sudden, the son gets full-fledged an adult, and he wants to be in his dad's life, and he's hunting him down, trying to have a relationship with him, and he doesn't have a relationship with his mother anymore. So these things are happening. They happening every day. So I'm just wondering, like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? What makes it be? What makes it like that? I know most folks are just gonna say, well, you got a lot of these, you know what I'm saying, these spoiled and entitled children. They don't know what they got. They don't know what they have. They life is all just grandeur, this and that. And you got people who parents were trash. And they saying to themselves, like, man, my parents are so trash. I wish I had somebody. I wish I had somebody that was there for me. I wish my parents was like that. So maybe they have this imagination of what their parents should be, or what it should look like for them. You know what I mean, y'all? So I asked that question, man. I try to figure it out, and I don't know why. I don't know why that is the case. Because what I've noticed, man, and during the estrangement, during the whole situation, seems like children who were spoiled, who were, parents went above and beyond, done a lot for them, that they've gotten to a point in time in their life now where they don't want to have anything to do with their parents. And a lot of it is from miscommunication. I get a lot of messages where, the parent cut off the child, something financial, all of a sudden said, no, we're not doing that shit no more. And then the child's just like, you know what? I'm kind of done here. We kind of good with this relationship. I had one lady who reached out to me a couple weeks ago, she was telling me that her son cut her off because she would no longer pay his truck note. So I'm thinking maybe the dude is like 16, 17, 18, maybe even 19, 20, something young, right? I was like, well, how old is he? She said he was 32 years old. I said, 32 years old, you cutting off your mother because she won't continue to pay your truck note. That's what I'm saying, y'all. When I think about stuff like that, I'm like, man, you can't help nobody like that. You know what I'm saying? That's a boy in a man's body. You can't help nobody like that. So, because the mother now that, she's to that age where she's getting ready to start thinking about retirement. How are you going to retire and you paying for another grown adult's bills? How are you going to retire and you paying for another grown adult's bills? Y'all know what I mean? So it's things like that that a lot of times the no contact, an estrangement situation pops up on. But I just want to know, man, if y'all know why does it seem like parents who were not the greatest of parents have a great relationship when their children become adults? And parents who bent over backwards, who did all types of shit for their children, they get cut off. They get no love, y'all. Like, why is that? Why would you say, you know what, I'm good with you? But the parents who were trash, all of a sudden, their children want to have a relationship with them. That's what makes this estrangement and no contact thing so difficult for a lot of parents to me. I think if you knew you were a trash parent, deep down, you would be like, man, it is what it is. It is what it is. I tried my best. I did everything that I could, but I wasn't the best. I had addictions. I had issues. Wasn't the best. Wasn't really around my children the way I should be. I think it wouldn't be so hard. You know what I'm saying? I think what I've seen from most parents. Now look, parents, we got to be real too. I think a lot of y'all be faking the funk too. And what I mean by that, some of you guys play this. Y'all have this mindset of, well, I didn't do shit wrong. I was the perfect parent. I did this. I did that. I was always involved. I did this and I did that. I just don't believe that's true. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe that's true. Everybody can look at their situation and say to themselves, it's some shit that I could change and could be better at. But for a lot of us parents, because of our generation, we don't think some of the shit that we say or we do is that bad because of the way that we grew up. See, y'all have to understand, man. The way we grew up was you can talk to somebody like they damn crazy or they stupid. It wasn't a big deal. The generation of our children, they can't handle or take that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us parents didn't adjust to that. We felt like, hell, that's what we grew up with. That's what we dealt with. You know what I mean? So a lot of us parents, we never adapted to that. So a lot of parents that I talk to, they always hit me with this, well, I did the best, I did this, I don't see anything that I could have done better. And that's when I had to stop them. I said, man, you got to dig deep. You got to get vulnerable. You got to get vulnerable, man. Tell the truth. Let's talk about it. Why are you talking to me and lying to me? I'm a parent myself. I had to go to therapy and tell the motherfucking therapist the truth. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't go in there and lie. I had to be vulnerable. And I think if we could start being vulnerable, maybe we can look at some of the situations and say, you know what, I maybe could have done that differently. But like I say, neither nor here nor there, ain't nothing wrong with some of the decisions and some of the things we did. It's just coming from a different lens. They look at shit differently. Your children look at shit differently. This generation look at shit differently. And I know a bunch of y'all is out there thinking to y'allself and y'all saying to yourself, you know what that is? Y'all know what that is? They weak. They weak. And we can think that all day long. And it may be true. But the truth of the matter is, these are our children. How can we make this relationship better? Even though they may be weak. We may all agree that they're weak. But that ain't gonna solve shit. That ain't gonna solve shit, us calling them weak. How are we gonna resolve the issue that we got going on now? What are you gonna do and what are you willing to change? Right? What are you gonna do and what are you willing to change? And a lot of parents don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear that shit because a lot of us are stuck in our stubborn ass ways. Our parents were stubborn and we stubborn. And we think the new generation is weak. So we ain't gonna be willing to change shit. We just like, hey, you know what? I ain't finna fix shit. Y'all know y'all all had that big mama that wasn't gonna do nothing. She had triple diabetes and was still eating a whole motherfucking pound cake. Wasn't even thinking about nothing like that. A lot of us are still like that. We don't want to change the version that we are currently. We are cool with saying, you know what? That's on them. They need to fix their situation. What are you fixing? What are you working on? What are you doing to get better? When are you going to start being vulnerable and start saying to yourself, maybe I can stay out them folks' business. Maybe I need to stay out of my children's business a little bit and mind my own. Let's be funky. Let's keep it real, y'all. A lot of us don't want to hear that, man. Hey, look, y'all remember when you first got married? You remember this. When you first got married, it was either your parents, your husband's parents, or somebody's parents said something about the way that you ran your household. Now, be real with yourself. What was you saying back in them days? You didn't want to hear that shit. This is my household. I pay every damn bill in here. You better not say nothing. You know what I'm saying? So think about that, y'all. And a lot of us are dealing with that with our children. And like I told y'all earlier in the week, I sent this post and I said a lot of the issues you have with your son-in-law and your daughter-in-law, that communication came from your child. And I got all kind of DMs on that one. That came from your child. Well, no, she turned him against me. Where did she get all that intel from? Where did she get all the intel from? She got all that intel from your son. Your son told his current wife how hard of an upbringing it was with you, how he had to deal with you. That's what he painted a picture of you, and he painted you as the villain. You the villain in his story, and you didn't even know it. So you blaming his current wife. You blaming his current wife for shit that ain't got nothing to do with her. That's why y'all can't get along. But don't nobody want to have that conversation because it's easier to blame her than to look at your son and ask your son, well, how does she know all these things about me? How does she know all these things about me? Let's have that conversation. Let's talk about that. How does she know my deepest secrets? Right? How does she know all these things? Because your son didn't told her. He didn't told her. He over there painting a picture about you. This woman, your son's wife, is now his everything. She love him. She love his stinking draws. So you think she ain't gonna listen to him and believe what he's saying? She gonna believe and listen to all that. So now her lens of you is cloudy. What she's seeing from you is cloudy. She ain't trying to hear none of that shit you talking about. That's why you guys can't have a good relationship, but you steady blaming. You steady blaming your daughter-in-law, your son-in-law, instead of looking at the main person, which is your child. That's the main person. And I said it, I had a post this week. You cannot have a relationship with your grandchildren if you do not have a relationship with your child. Until that grandchild gets to the point to where they're at least, I'm gonna say 17, 18, 19 years old, maybe even 16, where they got their own little wheels, make their own decisions. That's different. That's different. They might go see Big Mama. While they infants, while they toddlers, while they damn near even teenagers. If you do not have a relationship with the mama and the daddy, you ain't finna have a relationship with them. You ain't finna have a relationship with them. Y'all need to stop. Y'all got this fairy tale going on. And it's making you be in a situation where you staying stuck. Because you live in this fairy tale life right now. You saying to yourself, one day they're gonna pick up the phone and they're gonna call me. And everything is gonna go back to what it used to be. I'm here to tell you right down now, that ain't happening. That is not happening. Because you waiting on that 5 to 6 year old young boy to walk in, that young girl to walk in your room and give mama a big old hug. He ain't here no more. She ain't here. That person gone. That person is gone. So you have to understand who you dealing with now. The person that you dealing with is a different version of your child. Your child is no longer here. That person is gone. So either you're going to adapt and understand your relationship has to change. Joanne says, you're absolutely right. Then what happens is that she will look for things about you and she will feed him more things and they will both be... Come on, Joanne. That's what I'm saying. Joanne, but Joanne, I get so many parents, Joanne, I'm sorry, that tell me, like, man, my daughter-in-law or my son-in-law is the reason I no longer have a relationship with my children. And I'm like, that's a lie. The reason you don't have a relationship with your child is because of your child. Where do you think they get that intel from, Joanna? Where do you think they get it from? They get it from your child. They gonna tell your child listen, your child gonna tell them all your deepest secrets. Anything that you can think of that you didn't think about, you might have been like, you know what? It wasn't a big deal. Your son or your daughter made it into a big deal. And they painted this picture of you. That's why when you first showed up over there, she was looking at you sideways. And you was trying to figure out and wonder why. Why is she looking at me like that? She don't even know me. I hear that message all the time. How can you not like me and you don't know me? Well, guess what? They do know you. They know the version from your child. That's what they know. They don't know you, but they know the version from your child. And that's the thing that we make a huge mistake with. And I tell parents this all the time, man. The biggest thing I can tell you guys from dealing with estrangement, going through estrangement, man, you have to keep choosing you at a certain point in time. A lot of you guys sit back and you sit in isolation, you sit in your thoughts and you say, it's gonna get better. Sooner or later, they gonna wake up. Sooner or later, they gonna do this and do that. Your ass is getting old. And you continue to get old. And you waiting on a maybe. You waiting on a maybe. You letting somebody else control your life. You letting somebody, you seeing them all on social media. They on their boats, they on vacations, they living their best damn life. Your ass sitting up here wondering when that phone is gonna ring. Wondering when they gonna come back into their senses. Hey, listen. Listen. As we age, time becomes very, very short. Damn it, I need to use all of mine. I want to enjoy all of mine. I ain't got time to sit back and wonder when you gonna call or when you gonna message me or when you gonna hit my doorbell. I don't have time for that. And I want you parents to start understanding that. Stop thinking it's selfish. How is it selfish that you say to yourself, I'm loving myself more than worried about or loving somebody who doesn't want a relationship with me? I'm choosing me. I'm choosing me over somebody who done told me how they feel about me. Now, like I say, if you was a trash ass parent, your feelings are gonna be different. Your feelings are gonna be different because you know whatever I get, I gotta fall on my sword. I deserve that. But for the parents who bent over backwards, did everything that they could, wasn't perfect, and your child went no contact for you, I'm gonna tell you to roll your ass over at night and sleep good. Roll your ass over at night and sleep good. Go on about your business. Go on about your business. When you know you've done, when you know, and you can say to yourself, I didn't do you any harm. If I did something, it was in a situation where I made a mistake. It wasn't nothing deliberate. I didn't try to harm you. I wasn't trying to do anything to you. If you took something that I said that I did for you and you took it the wrong direction or you took it the wrong way, hey, that's a whole different conversation that we could have later on. But if you didn't harm your child physically, mentally, you didn't allow anybody to harm them physically, mentally, we all say some shit that we can look back at and say, you know what, I shouldn't have said that. Or I shouldn't have done that, right? We all go through those patterns. I'm not talking about that. We can get through that. Those are conversations, right? Those are conversations that we can talk about. But I'm telling you parents now, do not sit around and wait for your child to come back thinking you're going to have that old relationship again. You're not. You're not. That person is gone. That person is gone. The relationship you still looking forward to is no longer there. Now, all you want your relationship to be is cordial. You want it to be respectful. Respectful. You know what I'm saying? But parents, listen. We have to look at ourselves and say, what can we do to become a better version of ourselves for ourselves? Check yourself. Look at yourself and say, what can we do to become a better version of ourselves for ourselves? Not for your child, for you. For you. What can you do? You know what I mean? Because one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to have your child or your grandchildren come back into your life and you this bitter person. You're angry. You angry. All that time then went by and you was angry then and your ass still angry now. What's that gonna fix? That's what my grandmother used to tell me. Fix your face, you look ugly like that. That's the truth. Right? What is that gonna do? Work on yourself, man. I tell parents this and they call me crazy when I say it. You got to learn to love yourself more. Work on yourself, parents. Work on yourself for you. A lot of us, We're dealing with trauma that we never ever dealt with in the past from our upbringing. A lot of us have just swept shit under the rug. We swept shit under the rug. We just felt like every family was like our family, right? Our family was a trauma bond family. Everybody had trauma. Everybody had a situation, an issue, and we never handled it. We never handled it. And that's why I tell them all the time. You know what I mean? My faith gets me through every day. Joanna says, God sustained me. He is bigger and greater than my hurt and my child's strength. 100%. Joanna, and that's so powerful because God can bring you through anything, right? But Joanna, I just tell parents, man, my biggest thing is to not sit in silence, in isolation, and let the devil just get in that brain of yours and just get to playing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Joanna, I get so many messages from parents who want to harm themselves, unalive themselves, and it hurts my heart to hear something like that. Because I've been down that moment of time where it's just dark. You know what I'm saying, Joanna? It's just dark. And I tell them, I say, man, y'all got to learn. One thing you have to learn and understand, those times don't last forever. They don't last forever. When you going through that shit, it feel like it's going to be forever. You feeling like, man, ain't no coming out of this. Because y'all think about something, man. Y'all think about this. Most parents, you know, when you think about a parent, you think about most people who like, man, I dreamed of being a parent. I dreamed of being a grandparent. I was looking so forward to this situation in my life. Then somebody just come and say, no, you're not. No, you're not. Keep those feelings to yourself because it's not happening now. And a lot of times when a situation like that happens, you start to question and you ask yourself. But I tell people, man, get on your knees and pray. Don't question God. Get on your knees and pray. Ask God for strength. Ask him to help mold you into his warrior and where he wants you to be. And like I say, Joanna, I tell parents, man, get out here and let other parents know and tell your story about where you came from, how you were able to sustain, how you were able to move forward, how you were able to get to the point to where you're at now. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't easy. It is not easy, man. So it's tough, y'all. Estrangement is I'll tell anybody, man, it was one of the hardest things I've ever been through in my life. One of the hardest things I've ever been through in my life, man. It is tough. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you getting through estrangement. And I said again, your relationship with your estranged child will never be the same. Will never be the same. Even when they come back, even when they mature, even when they grow, it's not the same relationship because you always put a shield over your heart because you're scared and nervous of what you've been through. You know what I mean? So that's what I tell y'all, man. But look, I appreciate y'all rocking with me tonight, man. I'm about to go back on TikTok, man. I'm just trying to get this YouTube up and rolling, man. I appreciate y'all rocking with your boy tonight, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you again. Like I say, my name is Aaron Real Talk, man. If y'all catch me on live on YouTube, please hop on and talk to me, man. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.